Guess what? They've been asking Biden to legalize weed. That's a big joint out in front of the thing.
Huh.
And turns out Biden's going to pardon all federal offenses of simple marijuana possession in the first major step towards decriminalization. Well, how about that? Biden is finally kind of going to do something. It's not legalization of marijuana. That's the thing he promised, but it sounds kind of like that thing he promised, and that's what counts.
Yeah. What are you saying? It's not a. Wait, are you going to say it's not a thing?
So here it is. No, hang on. Biden on Thursday pardoned all prior federal offenses of simple marijuana possession, a move that senior administration officials said would affect thousands of Americans charged with that crime. The announcement comes on after a month ahead of the critical November elections. Hang on. So Biden on Thursday pardoned all prior federal offenses of simple marijuana possession. So that's, but do they? Is that really what the feds do? Does the FBI pull you over and they, hey, I smell marijuana in your car? Is that what the
That
FBI?
never happened to you? Well, you're privileged. I'm always getting pulled over by the FBI for my weed.
It's the worst. So they say this is to help the midterms, and this guy Fetterman, who's running in Pennsylvania. But get this, Midas Touch says, President Biden pardoning all prior federal offenses of simple marijuana possession may just be a single most transformative, morally right, politically smart use of the pardon power in history. It's impossible to overstate just how massive this news is. Well, spoiler alert, it's not happening. Senior administration official, we know that over 6,500 U.S. citizens from 1992 to 2021 were convicted of simple possession of marijuana under federal law. And as we said, there are thousands of more who were convicted from under D.C. code. So there are no individuals currently in federal prison for simple possession of marijuana. And again, the president is calling on governors to take this. So according to this...
Oh, solely it says. Solely. So someone's just telling me never commit a misdemeanor while you're committing a crime. You know, like...
Right.
So that means they grab people for other things.
Yeah.
And then throw a marijuana charge on it to get them extra. And now they're going to take those charges off. It says that's solely is the whole thing. Yeah.
Solely.
Because I was like, when would the feds care about simple marijuana? That's when they want to crack down on you. Maybe you had a little weed and then they could add that on.
So this person tweets out, Haley McMahon says, you've got to be kidding me. According to the White House itself, there are exactly 0 people who will be released from prison because of this. How many times is this administration going to blatantly bait and switch? It's based on campaign. So really, is that real? Is that real?
The solely is the whole thing.
You think that's it, Kurt?
Because, okay, why would there even be a federal charge of simple marijuana?
Right.
That's only, I'll bet you anything, because that's all it is. You get caught on something else, and then that's the thing where, and he had simple marijuana possession. And then it's just to add extra, like, you know.
Yeah. So is this.
So, the people are in prison for their other crime, but they can't, I guess, use that on them. It's real.
So here's another. Not a single person will be released from prison. This is just more political theater, and people are falling for it. So this person says, in terms of Biden pardoning people, please read between the lines. According to the White House, no one is currently in federal prison solely for simple possession of the drug. So this releases no one from prison. Also, their convictions were not voided. They still stand. And the pardon does not cover convictions for possession of other drugs or for the charges relating to producing or possessing marijuana with an intent to distribute. Also, Biden is also not pardoning non-citizens who were in the United States without legal status at the time of their arrest. Boy, that's a lot of exceptions. And Can you Google this? Google this more. Have you been Googling this?
Yeah, I get this. This is from New York Times. Says the pardons will not apply to people convicted of selling or distributing marijuana.
Yeah, okay.
And officials said there are no people now serving time in federal prison solely for marijuana possession.
Solely, yeah.
So it's all bullshit. Again, just like when Biden said he was going to relieve student debt, and then he didn't.
Then relieved himself into your mouth and you thanked him for it, morons.
Same thing here. Same thing here. It's all bullshit. And that's according to what paper are you reading?
This was New York Times.
New York Times even says that. There's nobody in prison.
What's Midas Touch?
That's just some website. I don't know. I mean, some Twitter account. I don't know who that is.
Is that like, because they were like really over the moon about this. Like,
Yeah, they're over the moon.
I can't believe it.
Oh, yeah.
Are they like someone you hire
That's
to market
look at all the, look at 14,000 likes. Is this a PR firm for Joe Biden?
I mean, that's why I asked Midas.
They got a blue check. I have a feeling they've tweeted out negative shit about me. I have a feeling.
You give me the old touch?
Maybe they did it. I don't know. I have a feeling. So, as part of the announcement, Biden also encouraged governors to take similar steps to pardon state simple Yeah. Do you mean to release nobody? You mean those kind of similar steps?
Hey, you guys should do this too. I'm Joe Biden.
It's like when he called on. Is this like when he called on the Saudis to lower gas prices? Because if it is, I think I know how this is going to turn out. When he asked the Saudis to ramp up oil production, you know they're cutting it back by 2 million barrels. Is this like that? And the president will task the Department of Health and Human Services and Attorney General Merrick Garland to expeditiously review how marijuana is scheduled under federal law. The first step toward potentially easing a federal classification. So he didn't even done it yet. He did nothing.
The first step towards kind of thinking about maybe doing a thing.
Yeah, I'm thinking about we're making a lot of calls.
With a majority of people for it.
There's a lot of ins, a lot of outs. It's like the Big Lebowski, except if he could legalize weed, but wouldn't. No one should be in jail just for using or possessing marijuana, Biden said in a video announcing. What about crack?
Yeah, what?
Should people be in prison for crack then? Or what about why make an exception for
LSD?
marijuana? Why other drug? What about mushrooms? What about psilocybin? Should they be? Why should people be in jail for doing a drug? Why should they be in jail? Oh, because it leads to crime. That's the theory, right? That's why drugs are illegal.
It's a gateway drug.
Because it makes you then you go to commit crime to pay for your drugs.
Right.
So why don't you convict them for the crime of getting their drug that they're?
Yeah, right.
Why?
I thought the gateway drug thing, and then you're like so depressed
So
that
what?
you did drugs, you have to get newer drugs.
But why does the government care if I'm a drug addict? They don't. Why should they imprison me for being a drug addict? Because they say I'm committing crime to support my habit. Well, those crimes that I'm going to do to support my habit, they're already crimes. So why don't you just put me in jail for that? Why do you got to put me in jail for the drug? So they're actually putting you in jail for a pre-crime. When they put you in jail for drugs, they're putting you in jail for a pre-crime. Black and brown people are arrested, prosecuted, and convicted at disproportionate risk. So yeah, I got this. Lock the SOBs up. Joe Biden in the era of mass incarceration. Joe Biden was the guy who wanted to lock everybody up. Joe Biden wrote the crime bill, and he brags about it. But I bet he didn't write it, by the way. The guy's a plagiarizer.
The way he said it so emphatically that he wrote the damn bill, I feel like that's evidence that he did not write the bill.
He now plays down his role in overhauling crime laws with segregationist senators in the 80s and 90s. That portrayal today is at odds with his actions and rhetoric back then.
And he didn't stutter when he said it either. He said, I wrote.
That's right. White House staff, did you know he fired 5 White House staffers for marijuana use? Did you know that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We don't need to.
No, I think it's one of his great moves.
So here it is. Officials said there are currently no Americans serving prison time solely on federal simple marijuana possession charges.
But the number, so people have been charged.
But the people that had been charged were 6,500, which means nothing.
Yeah.
That's a useless stat. Hey, thanks for the useless stat.
Well, that means they're not solely marijuana, but they had a charge, but they're still going to stay in jail.
About time you fully reverse your position that led to thousands of victimless criminals ending up in jail for decades. That's what the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire says about Joe Biden. He said, in fact, when he was running, he said he was not ashamed of the 1994 crime bill. Do you remember that? I do.
Yeah.
So Joe Biden proving again to be a huge piece of shit.
At least he kept that promise about blowing up those.
Yeah,
Gas lines.
Those gas lines. He blew up the gas lines. We're doing stand-up comedy in Virginia Beach, Richmond, Virginia, Arlington, Virginia, San Jose, California, Miami, Florida, West Palm Beach, Denver, Palm Springs, Austin, Texas. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for all the tickets. And while you're there, join our premium program. You get to see my new stand-up special coming up.